Hey everyone, this is Julio over at Mobile Devs, and today we're going to be starting off with part 1 of our iOS Netflix tutorial series. So here, if I pull it up, we'll see that we have the Netflix app that we're looking to build, and by the end of this video, you should have this application as so. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and get started with the brand new Xcode project. Alrighty, so now that we have our project opened up here, I'm going to go ahead and name this Netflix tutorial. I'm going to call it part 1. I'm going to want to make sure that the language is set to Swift, device is universal. Won't have to worry about core data today. I'm going to go ahead and resize our screen. And the first thing that I'm going to do is head over to main.storyboard and get rid of our view controller that we have here. And instead, I'm going to search for a table view controller. Now, I want a navigation bar, so I'm going to go to Editor, Embed In, and select Navigation Controller. Let's go to our Attributes Inspector and make sure that our navigation controller is the initial view controller. Alrighty, now from here, I'm going to go ahead and make our table cell a little bit bigger. I'm going to head over here to the project directory and create a new group. I'm going to call this group Home Screen. And within this group, I'm going to create another group called Cells, and another group called Header. Now, let's go ahead and drag and drop our view controller class, and I'm actually going to rename this to Home Table View Controller and reflect it everywhere else. We won't be needing did receive memory warning, so we could just get rid of that. Now, because we went ahead and drag and dropped a UI Table View Controller, we're going to want to subclass a UI Table View Controller. So let's go back to our main.storyboard and let's go ahead and connect our view controller to that new renamed custom class that we have. Excellent. So let's head over to our table view cell and let's give it a reuse identifier. I'm going to call this home table cell, and I'm going to head over here to cells and I'm going to create a custom class for this cell. Select Cocoa Touch. And I want this to be a UI table view cell. Call this home table view cell like so. Now we can also go ahead and get rid of the code that we have here. I'm going to head back to main.storyboard and hook up our table view cell with our custom class. Great. Now that we have that, I'm going to go ahead and copy the reuse identifier that we added to our cell. Head over to our assistant editor. And within home view controller, I'm going to say let table view cell identifier equal to home table view cell. Now, right below our view did load, I'm going to say mark UI table view data source. And I'm also going to say mark dash UI table view delegate. Now, what we're going to do right here is we're going to implement and override a few functions within the UI table view data source protocol. And those functions are number of rows in section. Let's go ahead and return 1. And cell for row at item, cell for row at index path, which we will get to right now. I'm also going to override number of sections in table view, for which I will return 5 sections. Now, within our table view cell for row at index path, I'm going to say let cell equal our table view, and I'm going to go ahead and dequeue our reusable cell with identifier. So let's go ahead and pass in that identifier. And let's say for index path, and now we can return our cell. So taking a look at our subclass here, so our class home table view controller is a subclass of UI table view controller. So if we command select into this into the UI table view controller class, we can see here that it is adopting the UI table view delegate and UI table view data source protocol. So we're going to be working with both of these protocols. But let's go ahead and focus on the data source. So we can see here that we need to implement these two functions, which we already did. And we went ahead and additionally added this optional function here. So if it doesn't, you see how these two don't have the optional keyword? These need to be implemented, but you don't need to override these, the ones with optional. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and go back. And if I didn't, okay, never mind. So let's go here and let's go ahead and open the project navigator. And because we went ahead and created a custom cell class for our table view cell, what we're going to want to do is when we dequeue the reusable cell, let's go ahead and force downcast to that custom cell that we created. Now, dequeuing a reusable cell, what's important about dequeuing is every single time a cell goes out of the view of, let me get this one here. Let's get this wrong. Alright, so every single time cells go out of the view, they get dequeued and reused. And the reason for this is for performance reasons. Alrighty, so now that we got that straight, let's go back to home table view cell and let's go ahead and run our application. So I'm going to change the simulator to an iPhone 7, and with that, let's go ahead and run it. Let's bring in our simulator here. Alrighty, so we got 5 sections here and 1 row within each section. So taking a look at the Netflix app, here we have 1 section and we have a header inside of that section, and this is our row, so 1 row. Alright, so let's go ahead and figure out how we can implement that header. So there's different ways that you can go about it. I mean, you can go ahead and drag another table view cell, drop it right there, give it a reuse identifier, and within your view for header and section function of the UI table view delegate, you know, you can do it that way. But what we're gonna do is we're going to head over to our group that's named header, and we're going to create a new class. And this class is going to be a subclass of UI table view header footer view, and I'm going to call this home table view header view. Now with that, we have that created, and I'm also going to create a .zip file. So here we have within user interface. Alrighty, and let's go ahead and get rid of this code right here. We're not going to be needing that. And this file, I'm actually going to call it, and give it the same name as our custom subclass of UI table header footer view. Alright, so with that, we're going to go here, and with this zip file, we can go ahead and customize our interface visually. So I'm going to change the size to freeform, and what I'm going to do first of all is go to our identity inspector and hook up that custom class that we created to this view. So you are going to have to type it out. Xcode isn't going to help us here. And I'm going to go ahead and type in a label within our object library. I'm going to change the name of this label to category label, and I'm going to pin its leading edge by 8 and pin its bottom edge by 4, just like so. And I went ahead and held down Option Command equals to adjust the views according to the constraints that we laid down. Alrighty, now I'm going to head over and Control drag click our category label to our custom class header view, and I'm going to call it category label, like so. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save, Command S to save, and alright, if we go ahead and run our application, we're not going to see our header view that we have within right here. So what we do need to do is we need to we need to register our .zip file to our table view. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say header nib is equal to UI nib name. The nib name is just the name of the .zip file, just like that. For bundle, we're going to want to say nil, and we're going to then register that nib to our class, to our table view, excuse me. And let's go ahead and pass in header nib. For header footer view reuse identifier, let's go ahead and give it a reuse identifier. I'm going to say home table view header. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and create constants for these. So I'm going to say let table view header identifier is equal to that. And our nib name here, I'm going to say let table view header nib name equal to our string. And now let's just go ahead and pass these in like so. Go to reuse identifier, header identifier. Okay, great. So now that we registered it, what we're going to do is we're going to go down and add a function that is contained within the UI table view delegate protocol. That function is view for header and section. And we can even see here, just to verify that it's part of that protocol. So asks the delegate for a view object to display in the header of a yes save. Okay. So view for header and section. And I believe we're going to have to override this. And here it's expecting to return a UI view. So what we're going to do is we're going to say let header view equal to our table view. And because we went ahead and registered our nib file to our table view, what we can do is we can now say DQ reusable cell, not cell, but DQ reusable header footer view, and with the identifier, which we went ahead and created a constant above header identifier. And we can go ahead and return that header view. Alrighty, so do you remember how we went ahead and created an outlet within our header view class? Well, what's important about downcasting to that custom class that you created is that if you don't do that, you're not going to be able to access the category outlet that we went ahead and connected to our class. So as you can see here, it doesn't show up. But if we go ahead and force downcast it, we now see that we can access that. So here I'm going to say trending now and return that. So one more thing that we do need to do as well is we need to specify a height for our header view. Well, height for header and section. And I'm going to go ahead and return 35. So with that in place, things are looking good. And these marks, by the way, these comments here, if we go ahead and select this, we can see here that there is the dash represents the line. If you go ahead and remove the dash, it'll remove the line. But as your code base gets a lot larger, it's just easier. I like to organize my code that way. It's easier to navigate back to. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and run our application and see where we are so far. Sweet. Okay, so as you can see right now, looks like there's a color set on the header view. And we're getting some printout here that says setting the background color on UI table view header footer view has been deprecated. Okay, please use content view.background color instead. So I'll show you how to fix that. And what we need to do as well is make sure that our header view doesn't scroll down as we scroll down on our table view. So let's go ahead and work with that first. Let's go to our table view, and for the style, instead of plain, go ahead and select grouped. And let's go ahead and figure out how we can fix this right here that we're getting. So to let you know is you're actually unable to, as it tells you right here, header footer view has been deprecated. So change this color to default, and as you can see, if we go ahead and run the application, that'll be gone. And we will also see that our header view won't scroll down. There we go. So if you did want to go ahead and add a, a background color to our header view, what you can do is drag and drop a view and make sure that the category label is inside of that. Yes, you are going to have to reset your constraints, but now we can go ahead and set a different color. Let's just say red. I'm going to go ahead and pin all of the view's edges to its parent view, like so. And we also need to pin our category label like this. We had 4, it's leading edge by 8, and I am going to change the size, the font size to 14, style semi-bold, and the color I'm going to change it to white. Okay, so let's go ahead and run our application and see what that does. And you also see that the printout statement that we had is no longer there. Bam. Awesome. Okay, so here we have a footer view. How we can get rid of that is, let's go ahead and stop our application. Let's go to main.storyboard and select our view controller, then select the table view, and let's go over to the size inspector here. For the footer, I'm going to want to say 0. It's going to default to 1, which is okay, and the header view, I'm just going to put 0. And I'm going to change the row height to 144 actually. 145. I'll keep it at 144. Okay. Now, with that said, that's good. Okay, so let's go ahead and start setting up the horizontal scrolling within a table view cell. And how we're going to do that is we're going to go to our object library and search for a collection view. Now, let's see here. I'm just going to do this very quickly, is select our table view cell, and within the size inspector, here we have custom selected. I'm going to go ahead and unselect that right now so that it takes this height instead. Alrighty, so with that, I'm going to select our collection view, and I'm just going to change the background color so that you can see what's going on here. I'm going to go ahead and pin all edges of our collection view to its parent subview, which is the content view, as we can see right here. Just like that. Update our views, and since we're done with that, I'm going to change the color, and I'm going to go down and select our collection view cell. And let's go ahead and give our collection view cell a reuse identifier. I'm going to call this home collection view cell. Actually, not collection view, but just collection cell. I'm going to go ahead and copy that. And let's go over right here to the size inspector really quickly, and let's make sure that it's set on default. Okay. And what I'm going to do is change the color of the collection cell. Let's go up to our collection view, not the collection cell. Let's go over to the size inspector and let's change the height and width. So I'll start off with the width. I'm going to have the cell size be a width of 105 and its height be a value of 144. Okay, so I want I want some, how do I say it? Let's see here. Let's go to our collection view and take a look at our size inspector right here. Go down to section insets, and here we can see that there is a left section inset of 0, value of 0. Let's go ahead and change that to 8. And we can see that the change will be reflected within our storyboard. And for the right, I'll show you what effect that's going to have. But for now, let's go ahead and head over to our cells. Let's go ahead and create a new custom class for that specific collection view cell. So I want it to be a subclass of UI collection view cell, and I'm going to call this home collection view cell. Go ahead and create that. It's going to take us to it. Head back to main.storyboard, and let's hook up our collection view cell to that custom class. So Xcode, once again, nice enough to go ahead and auto-complete that for us. So now that we have that, let's head back to home table view controller, and I am going to say mark dash UI collection view data source. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend our home table view controller class, and I'm going to have it adopt the UI collection view data source protocol. Now the UI collection view data source protocol is very similar to the UI table view data source protocol. We need to make sure that we need to implement a few functions in order to conform to the UI collection view data source protocol. So as we can see right here, it says type, okay, our view controller does not conform to protocol, right, data source. So we need to implement cell for item at, and we also need to implement number of items in section. So within number of items in section for our collection view, I'm going to return 15. And for our cell for item at, once again, very similar to our table view, I am going to say let cell equal our collection view, and I'm going to DQ reusable cell with identifier. So remember the identifier that we went ahead and copied. I'm going to paste that, and I'm going to pass in the index path. And so let's make sure that we go ahead and force downcast it to that custom class that we created, which was home collection view cell. And now we can go ahead and return that cell, as this function expects a UI collection view cell to be returned, which is correct. Alrighty. Now I'm actually gonna create a constant for this reuse identifier, and I'm gonna say go up here and say collection view cell identifier is equal to our string. So now when I go down, what I can do is say collection view cell identifier and pass that in like so. Alright, so for those of you who are a little bit more experienced, I can tell you that we're not going to see any cells right here. I think what will happen is our collection view is going to be black. So our table view cell, exactly, okay. So what's going on here, right? We implemented the functions in order to, say, hey, we're going to have 15 items within our collection view, but we don't see it. And I'll tell you why. So what's going on first is we forgot to set the data source of our collection view and connect it to our table view controller. So now that we went ahead and did that, what's going to happen is if we head back to our home table view controller, these functions right here are going to get called. So whereas before, because we didn't have the data source of the collection view hooked up to the table view, these functions right here weren't getting called. So now that we went ahead and added those, what we can do is run our application, and we'll see that they will show up. And of course, our background should still be black, I believe. Okay, so there we are. Alrighty, so we're getting close. So let's move forward. Okay, so let's go ahead and select our collection view. And for our background, let's go ahead and say clear color. Now let's go down to let's go up one view, and let's select our content view and make sure that we also select clear color. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I want the table view to dictate all of the colors within its subviews. So here we have our home table cell. I'm also going to say clear color, and do you see that here? It's taking the color of the table view. And now the table view here, I'm going to change the background color to lead. Okay. Now I'm going to go over here to our navigation controller, select our navigation bar. For the style, I'm going to select black, and I'm going to give it a title, call it Netflix. I'm going to go down to our object library. I'm going to select a bar button item, bring that up. I'm going to change the tint color to white color. system item to search. Awesome. And now if we go back to our table view, let's go ahead and just close these. Let's go ahead and drop down to our collection view. Now, do you remember we had the collection view was scrolling vertically? Let's go ahead and select horizontal, and let's get rid of the scrolling indicators as the Netflix app doesn't have that. So let's go ahead and do that for our collection view and our table view. Alrighty. So let's go ahead and give that one more run. Let's see. Okay, so we got some stuff that's printing out here. I'll show you how to fix that. And here we have no more scrolling indicators. And if you recall, I'm going to select the collection view here. Bring up our simulator. We went ahead and messed with the section insets. And so here we said left was going to be a value of 8, which is what it did right here. Now, for lines, you see here how we have separation of 10 in between every collection view item. Well, if you wanted to affect the spacing between every single cell, what you can do is change the value of 4 lines, 4 minimum spacing, and you'll see that they're now a lot closer to each other. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say 8. I'm going to keep it at that. And let's go ahead and fix this right here. So what's going on here is, let's take a look at our table view controller, and we have a row height of 144. Now, if we take a look at the table view cell, we can see that the height is also 144, and the content view of our table cell is a height of 143. So let's take a look at the height of our collection view. Okay, so our collection view has a height of 144. Let's go ahead and change this to a height of 143. And if we try to increase it, you see that you won't be able to. So let's go ahead and run that, and we should see that we no longer get these printout statements. Bam. So I think what was going on here is we had a height of 144, and it needed to be less than the height of our table view row height. So we can see here, the row height was 144, and our collection view needed to be a value less than that. Okay, great. So as we can see here, there is no value. So here, the section inset on the right is 0. So if I change that to 8, we'll see that it looks just like it does for the left inset. Alrighty, there we go. Okay, so we're just about done here. Let's go ahead and stop our application. Let's go to our table view and let's get rid of our separators. For our separator here is this line right here. Instead of default, I'm going to say none. Alrighty, so now that we have that, what we have left to do is let's see, let's go ahead and run that and see how it looks. Alright, so just about finished up here. We got 2 more things to do. I'm going to change the color of the header view, and here there's a pretty big spacing between our footer, so I'm going to change that. So let's go ahead and fix the color of our header view. So here, I'm going to select our view, and I'm going to actually put that as clear color. And now, in order to fix the height of the footer view, what we're going to do is, so this function is part of the UI table view delegate protocol, and I'm going to say height for footer in section. Want to make sure we provide the override keyword, and I'm going to return 12. Alrighty. So how's that looking? Sweet. Awesome. So here it's no longer the default value for the footer. And There we are. Awesome. Let's go ahead and turn our simulator. We can see that it is updated accordingly. Okay, so this one more thing that I do want to show you is if we look at this right here, this printout statement, how you can get rid of this is if you go over here to edit schemes, go to arguments, environment variables, type in OS underscore activity underscore mode, hit tab, it brings you over, give it a value of disable, go ahead and close that, rerun our application. But just before we run our application, I'm going to go to our navigation controller, select our navigation bar, give it a tint color of lead. So just to make sure, okay. Now let's go ahead and run our application, and let's see where we're at. Alrighty, well that just about completes today's tutorial. Really hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you have any questions, comment down below. I'll do my best to make sure that I can answer them. And if you can, please subscribe. So with that, stay tuned for part 2. See ya.